Thunderball is the fourth movie in the James Bond series. It was made in 1965, and it follows up on the very popular Goldfinger from the year before. Now, growing up in the 70s and 80s, I always thought of James Bond as Roger Moore. Those were the films being advertised when I was old enough to remember them. But going back and watching them as an adult, I can see why most people like Sean Connery as the real James Bond.
Dude.
That said, I'm not really sure that Thunderball holds up.
Hey,
Wait.
we're not doing movies, man.
What? I'm doing the Thunderball thing like you asked. What do you want?
It's a podcast about video games.
So why Thunderball? What?
Odyssey 2.
Oh,
His eyes open.
that pinball cart on the Odyssey 2.
Yeah.
You know, that makes a lot more sense.
Oh my God.
So Thunderball on the Odyssey 2. It is a pinball simulation of sorts on the Odyssey 2 platform. It is pretty much single screen, as you see right there. The ball kind of bounces around and has these handful of bumper targets on the screen. You can see that they change color as the ball hits them, and of course you get the sound effects and things like that. There's not a lot going on, honestly. It's a fun little quick game kind of thing on the Odyssey 2. An interesting piece of the Odyssey 2, kind of an oddity of this particular platform, is you'll notice that the flippers at the bottom move back and forth within the gap where the ball would drain. And that's unusual. I don't know many pinball games that do that. So that's kind of a quirk of this one. The other quirk is that you can't flip the flippers individually. When you press the button on the Odyssey 2 stick, they both flick at the ball. They both activate. So I guess moving the pair of them back and forth in that gap is a way to kind of mitigate that. The fact that you don't have direct control on both. You can see there I got all four of the targets at the top. I think that that's some bonus worthy something or other, but that was my last ball. As you can see now, it goes into a demo mode when everything is done. It says Fin on the side. That's the end of the game. But it does provide you kind of like an attract mode in an arcade machine. One oddity about this particular pinball simulation is that it doesn't really feel like pinball to me. I don't know what the standard was back then. I honestly haven't played a lot of the Atari 2600 pinball ports yet, or other Intellivision things that were out of the time as to what could be expected. But this ball, it bounces around the screen more than pinball action. I don't feel like I'm sending the ball up a tilted pinball field. I feel more like I'm bouncing a bouncy ball up towards the top of the screen as it bounces around. And the physics remind me more of gravity being perpendicular and the ball bouncing around as opposed to in pinball where you can make shots and things like that. So it just seems more like to be a game of keep the bouncy ball bouncing. But it was fun to give it a try. Like I said before, it's kind of, I think it's a pick up and play quick, get a fix for pinball. I honestly don't know how well this would have satisfied a pinball urge back in 1979 when you get this for your Odyssey 2 and you're a pinball lover. but it's early video pinball. Thunderball on the Odyssey 2 does allow for up to 4 players, and as each of the players play, the background colors change color. You can see here it turned red for player 2 around the outside there. So that's kind of nice, if kind of a party game element to it if you had folks over. There's only 2 joystick ports on the Odyssey 2, so the way they did that was players 1 and 3 use the left joystick, and players 2 and 4 use the right joystick. But it's very clear in the gameplay by the colors whose turn it is. You can see there it turned to player 3 in the purple. I also found it kind of amusing that the player number is an obstacle on the field. You'll notice that in gameplay, the ball will bounce off the 1, 2, 3, or 4 that's over there on the left. I don't know if you get points for it. I think you might. There's player 4 with a yellow background, around yellow border, I guess I should say. So that's kind of a neat touch, I think, for games. Yeah, it looks like you're not getting any points. I saw it hit the 3 there. They hit the 4 there a couple of times. I think that's a neat touch that they put in there to make it a distinctive playfield for each player. And the fact they thought of putting 4 players into it, again, I don't know how unique that is, but it strikes me as kind of an interesting feature of the game. So that's Thunderball on the Odyssey 2. As Willie likes to say, thanks for watching. He also made me promise that I would let you know who I am and what I do. My name is Rick Reynolds, and I participate in a handful of podcasts that you might be interested in. I do the Intellivisionaries with a couple other hosts, and we talk about all things in television. I also do a podcast about the greatest American Hero TV show. We're going episode by episode through that show. I'm also on Intari Visions with Willie and Ferg and Paul, where we take a game that was ported across all these old pre-crash systems and just talk about the gameplay across the different systems and how it fares. And then I have a podcast that I do solo called the Holiday Special Podcast, where I look at holiday specials of the kind that we grew up in, Rankin Bass and Peanuts and those kinds of things. Look at those shows, see if they hold up today, see how they look when looked at again through the eyes of an adult. So if any of that sounds interesting, I hope you'll look me up. In the meantime, thanks for watching Willie's channel, and hope to see you around the internet.